Despite its boundless popularity, Portugal continues to be one of the best value destinations in Europe. It has it all: a rich history, innovative art, stunning views and friendly laid-back locals. Portugal is one of Europe's most visited countries thanks in large part to its affordability and its incomparable attractions and ideal holiday weather. Situated on the west coast of the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal's geography ranges from lush farmlands and medieval towns in its center, to gorgeous vineyards and mountains in the north and to the sensational beaches of the Algarve in the south. Here's a look at the best places to visit in Portugal. Number 1. Porto. Porto is a historic mercantile city with business and trade written into its very name. The center is a World Heritage Site, and you'll be struck by how rich and varied this heritage can be. There are medieval walls, gleaming Baroque churches, the compact streets of the Ribeira district, the Romanesque cathedral, and that's just the beginning. The 249 feet Torre dos Clérigos is Porto's signature landmark. The Baroque tower soars above the city rooftops, and visitors can climb 225 steps to reach far-reaching city views from the top. The three suburbs of Ribeira, Baixa and Bolheo make up Porto's most historic and tourist areas. As a traveler, it's where you're likely to spend the majority of your time wandering the cute cobblestone streets that weave through these areas. Above the Ribeira are the Baixa and Sé areas, where you'll find most of the majority of Porto's best attractions, including Mercado do Bolheo, the majestic Café, Rua Santa Catarina and Palacio do Bolsa. Number 2. The capital of Lisbon. Lisbon is a city that is really going places. There is a plethora of history here, with tales of everything from Roman imperialists to exotic Berber pirates, Moorish builders to fierce Reconquista knights, all wrapped up in the grand palaces and heritage districts. One of the top things to do in Lisbon is to admire the view at one of many Lisbon's miradors, such as the Miradouro São Pedro de Alcântara. Also, make sure to discover the genuine quarters of Alfama, Chiado and Barro Alto, and along the way admire the narrow streets and unmissable points of interest such as the Cathedral Sé Catedral, the National Pantheon, and the Monastery Mosteiro de São Vicente de Fora. Moving on to number 3, Faro. Faro, the capital of the Algarve and main getaway to the region, is a historic and culturally rich city surrounded by unspoiled island beaches and the impressive Ria Formosa Nature Reserve. The Faro Cathedral is one of the biggest and most impressive cathedrals in Portugal. It's also the biggest church in all of the Algarve and is a great place to visit for its architecture, artistic treasures, and impressive acoustics. The Tower of the Clerics is the highest point in Faro and offers fantastic views of the city and the surrounding area. Sun worshippers should head straight to the postcard-perfect beach on Tavera Island for its blinding blue sea and seemingly endless stretch of powdery sand. Number 4. Sintra. This town is in a green mountains cape of palaces, country estates, parks, and a medieval castle. In the center, the Palace of Sintra was a residence for the Portuguese royalty, and it's just one of many exquisite properties to win you over. Make sure to visit the Parque de Pena, which was built way back in the 19th century. It was filled full of trees and plant species from all over the world. Nowadays most have matured to make an incredible landscape to enjoy. Montserrat Palace is a total gem that you really can't miss. It's a total mix of architectures and was rebuilt on the ruins of the previous palace complex that was destroyed heavily by an earthquake. You can take a wander through the palace and enjoy beautiful neo-Gothic and Indian influences. Next one up is number 5, Madeira. The archipelago of Madeira is a perfect place for lovers of unique landscapes, unspoiled nature, adventure, and gastronomy. Ponta de São Lourenço, located in Madeira's extreme east, is a nature reserve with immense volcanic rocks that are streaked with reddish hues. It's a hike worth doing for the moving views of the Atlantic and for photos that look like the ends of the earth. On the northern lower reaches of the Pico Ruivo, there's an enchanting subtropical laurel forest called Parque Florestal de Queimadas. The high humidity gives the woodland a light veil of mist and coats the forest floor with moss, lichens, and ferns, with some of the largest fronds you'll see in Europe. The two most famous botanical parks in Funchal that are worth visiting are Monte Palace Tropical Gardens and Madeira Botanical Garden. Both are beautiful, both are different, both offer an amazing view of Funchal. In the city center you will also find the Municipal Garden and Santa Catarina Park. Now, before you plan your next trip to Portugal, make sure to check out the first link in the description where you can find the best deals for your flight, hotel and car rentals in Portugal. Number 6. Coimbra. On the high banks of the Mondego River, Coimbra is a city with the oldest university in the country. The prestige of this school will hit you when you step onto the Paco das Escolas courtyard. In this rich ensemble of buildings is one of the finest libraries you'll ever set foot in. Coimbra's imposing temples to history, the arts and sciences reflect its educational heritage. There are museums here on subjects varying from zoology to the city's water supply. Top billing goes to the Museum de Machado de Castro, a grand bishop's mansion packed full of religious art. A cruise on the Rio Mondego is one of the most relaxing things to do when sightseeing in Coimbra. The city's venerable patina is clearly visible from the river, and drifting lazily along this ancient watercourse affords visitors an appealing and wholly different perspective on this beguiling destination. Number 7. Lagos. This picturesque headland is known for its dramatic limestone cliffs featuring grottos and arches. Walking along the top of Ponte de Piedade features stunning views, each more gorgeous than the last. The city also has a very rich history that stretches back more than 2,000 years. It was occupied by the Phoenicians, Romans, Visigoths, Byzantines and Moors, and became the capital of the Kingdom of the Algarve in 1573. While in Lagos, you shouldn't miss the opportunity to take a boat trip to Ponte de Piedade. The boat takes you on a memorable journey along the breathtaking coastline, and you can get an amazing perspective of several Lagos beaches until you get to the spectacular rock formations of Ponte de Piedade. A trip to Lagos cannot be complete without visiting its old town. Featuring lovely cobblestone streets with different patterns, whitewashed and tiled houses, museums, lovely alleys, picturesque churches, lively squares and a myriad of restaurants, stores, bars and pubs. You can also visit the very first African slave market in colonial Europe, which was built in 1444, called Lagos Castle, and see the remains of the ancient city walls. Number 8. Albufeira. One of the Algarve's top getaways, Albufeira has wild nightlife, an inexhaustible choice of activities, and many beautiful beaches. A whopping 25 beaches fly the blue flag here, which is more than any other municipality in Europe. The historic center of the town is great to idle around. It has meandering streets that tapered a little more than arm span through ravines of whitewashed houses. Many of these alleys have Portuguese pavement laid in pretty patterns. The older part of Albufeira is on high ground, and you'll find yourself turning a corner and being treated to the sight of the ocean across Praia do Penico. Igreja Matriz, Albufeira's main church, is from the end of the 18th century and has dignified neoclassical architecture. There's a barrel vault with filigree stucco work on the ceiling and a modern altarpiece designed by the Algarve artist Samora Barros. Make sure you don't miss the stunning Benagil Caves. Located west along the coast from Albufeira, these sensational caves contain rock formations that defy belief. The main cave here is distinctive due to its hole in the roof through which the blazing Algarve sun casts its beams. The most popular viewpoint in Albufeira, called Miraduro do Pau Bandeira, is situated on top of the escalators in Barrio do Pescadores and boasts stunning views of Albufeira Old Town and the beaches. Number 9. Évora. Nestling in the heart of Portugal's sun-baked Alentejo province, Évora is one of the country's oldest and most enchanting cities. At the highest point of the city, where Évora's ancient forum once stood, is what could be Portugal's greatest Roman monument. This Corinthian temple was built in the 1st century and would likely have been devoted to Diana. Up close you'll notice the difference in materials. The fluted columns are made from granite while the bases and capitals are marble. Chapel of Bones is one of Évora's most visited attractions. It's a fascinating and impressive display of human bones and skulls creating decorative patterns on walls and columns. It's the city's most memorable site, and is part of a royal church from 1480, which should be visited even if the Chapel of Bones is just too morbid for you. The church is one of Portugal's finest constructions in the Gothic and Manueline Portuguese Gothic style. The Aqueduto de Agua de Prata, or Silver Water Aqueduct, is located right outside the city's wall and was built over an existing Roman aqueduct. The portion that's located inside the city's wall, houses and shops have been constructed to fit perfectly underneath the arches. Number 10. Braga. One of Portugal's oldest cities, Braga was also an ancient seat of religious power anchored in the 4th century. The cathedral is mandatory, as are several of the old church's chapels and monasteries in the area. A must-see is the Arco de Porta Nova, also known as the Arch of the New Gate. As you can imagine, it's an arch that marks the official entrance into the old city of Braga. It was originally built in the 16th century as a triumphal arch, which was part of the old medieval wall of Braga. It was then reconstructed in the 18th century in a beautiful Baroque design. The most impressive religious sanctuary in Portugal, Dom Jesus do Monte, lies 6 kilometers east of Braga in a verdant park draped over the western slopes of Monte Espinho and remains one of Portugal's most compelling visitor attractions. As with other squares of the same name, Praça da República, or Republic Square, continues the Portuguese tradition of being one of the most important public spaces in Braga. Located on the western side of the city's historic center, it comes alive each day from mid-morning to late into the evening. During this time it is filled with locals who come to enjoy a bite to eat in the cafes and restaurants that line